What's up, everybody? It's John Papp here from Acceleration Fitness, johnpappfitness.com. I'm just chilling back here with my boy Michael. This is the coolest painting I've ever seen in my life, I'm not gonna lie. Love this painting. That's why I love to do all the videos I can here if we're not busy back here, so I can chill with my boy back here. Anyways, I'm here to talk to you today about my experience this past weekend. I had a photo shoot, my first photo shoot ever. So, cut down for about 6 weeks, had a photo shoot, had some awesome pictures. I highly recommend my photographer, Arena. She did an amazing job. I'm gonna put her stuff in the description for this video, so go check out her pages. She does stuff like this, sports photography, all that. So go check that out because I highly recommend it. She did an awesome job. So about 6 weeks ago, I said, you know, one of my goals has been to be not only a fitness writer, but which I have accomplished and I am still working at to get into bigger and bigger magazines. The biggest one I've got so far are Stack.com and Fitness Arcs for Men. So big publications, but I want to go for the big ones. I want to get them all, right? So the other half of that equation is not only do I want to write articles for these magazines, I want to be in them, all right? How cool would that be? Write the article and be the dude that's jacked and shredded in the article. So that's been one of my goals for a while now, and this was kind of one of the first action steps. Well, not one of the first action steps. The first action step was grinding in the gym every single day, which I've been doing for years now. So I realized that it was time, I was able to take that jump. I was kind of where I was at, or where I wanted to be when I first started out for this, and take that jump. So I called up, set up this appointment, called up the photographer, and we set this up. And so I had about 6 weeks to shred down. I was at about 7.5% body fat, and that was measured on a combination, the average of 2 DEXA scans and 2 bod pod readings. So DEXAs are pretty much the best you can get for body fat reading. Basically, it's an X-ray and measures lean body mass and a bunch of other things, but for this purpose, it was to see my body fat percentage. And then a bod pod, which kind of looks like a little spaceship. You sit down in it, and it measures the air displacement, does some fancy math that I don't really understand, and gives you a body fat percentage. Now, that's not quite as accurate as a DEXA, but it's still very accurate, more accurate than, say, calipers or the bioelectrical impedance, which is basically the little handheld device. So, had those done, 7.5% body fat. My goal is to get down to about 5.5, somewhere in that range. Then last Friday, went and got tested again. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a DEXA scan again because the machine was under repair, and I was only able to get the bod pod reading, but the bod pod ended up reading something like 2.5%, which is obviously, that's not what I was at. That's almost impossible, right, to be that low. So, but the doctor who took it said, with my experience, I would say you're probably around 4%. So somewhere in that range, give or take. I don't believe I was lower than 4%, but definitely between the 4 to 5% range. So I definitely hit my goal there. So that was pretty awesome. That's the most, I would say, the most shredded and jacked that I've been in my life. Now, I'd cut weight before for wrestling, but that's a completely different animal. You're specifically cutting weight to get to a lower weight class versus aesthetics. So respect to all the bodybuilders, physique competitors, men and women out there who are doing that, and fitness models, because man, it was difficult. I'm not gonna lie, it was mentally and physically challenging. I was so tired by the end of this cut, and just exhausted my body from all this extra training and conditioning, and sneaking in extra workouts here and there when I could, which was basically every day. I think the last 2 weeks I didn't really take a rest day. I was always doing either core or arms or something I could work on, or conditioning. So I was beat down, I'm not gonna lie, it was tough. So props to you guys. The nutrition, it was hard to stay, solid on that nutrition for that long. So props to you guys. And I actually did what's called we call it a 2-week reset here at Acceleration. I kind of talked about that more in my previous video today of yesterday I should say, 5 tips to lose weight, gain strength, and get jacked. So go ahead, it's probably gonna be on the side here, so go ahead and click on that if you wanna check out that and find out more about the 2-week reset. I just did that for 5 weeks, or 6 weeks, whatever it was, 5.5. And it worked well, man. I kept my carbs actually decently high just because I'm so active, training and coaching people, and as well as my own training. So, and I have a very high metabolism, so I'm able to burn those carbs. So I was actually pretty happy with that. That wasn't too much of a struggle to keep my carbs high. Kept the sugar extremely low, or no, I shouldn't say extremely low. I kept the sugar low, so I think that made a really big impact, and made sure I was getting enough protein every day, at least 200 grams of protein. Most days 210. Didn't really go over that because there's not really a need to. And I kept the fat in check. Didn't go overboard, but I didn't really track the fat too much. All healthy fats, no unhealthy fats. So that was kind of my guidelines there. And then for conditioning, I took my boy Corey G's advice from Old School Gym down in Ohio, and then CoreyGFitness.com. Go check it out. He's really knowledgeable guy. He's had a lot of experience doing this kind of stuff. And I reached out to him, and he's like, honestly, man, I'd just be lunging 5 days a week, 200 meters, so half a mile. And, 400 meters, which is a half a mile. And at first it was miserable, I'm not gonna lie, lunging for a half mile, but then it turned out not to be that bad, and I ended up really liking it. Got my heart rate jacked up, and also offered a workout for my legs, which really paid off, I feel like. So that was good. And then I also threw in things like airdyne sprints here and there, a few times, and then over the course of the cut, and then also some more long, slow distance on the airdyne. Not anything over 5 minutes, at a moderate pace. And then I also did some work on the rower here and there, just when my legs were shot after leg day, or if it was leg day, whatever. Then a squat or a deadlift day. And then my normal training program, which is Brandon Lilly, go check him out as well. I'm throwing out shout outs to everybody. Brandon Lilly's Q method. I've been running that. This is my second cycle through, and I've seen great results, so I just kept up with that. And it's a powerlifting program, but it's kind of nice because there's a bodybuilding day worked in there, and also I kind of threw in like extra arm work, some extra ab work in with that. But other than that, I just kept the training the same, really focused on nutrition, and it was good. But so that was what I did physically, but man, mentally it was a drain. I was kind of shocked at how mentally challenging it was to go through with all this, because there was days where it was almost like I was becoming like, not obsessed, but worrying too much, stressing about how I looked. And usually previously I was very confident, like all I cared about was getting stronger, because I knew I looked pretty good, and that was good enough for me. I was sitting around 7-8% body fat, which is fine, and I didn't really have a desire to get lower, so I was just focused on getting stronger. But I found it to be actually pretty stressful to see, not necessarily see, but trying to go through this. And so again, props to you guys who do this all the time. If you're a competitive bodybuilder, physique competitor, fitness model, props, because it was tough, but made it through. It was a good experience, and this is the first big step in this side of my fitness career. I've got the training and whatnot, the training side, and that's been going well, and the writing, and been getting bigger and bigger there. But now, I really want to get into the fitness modeling side of things, and this is the first big step, and it turned out great. So just be on the lookout for stuff like that if you're interested in seeing kind of how this pans out. Trying to work on the next step already, and just got to keep chasing it, baby. Just chasing it. So if you have any questions at all, feel free, as always, Snapchat me, Instagram me, at John Pap Fitness on Instagram, J-Pap on Snapchat. Those are the biggest things that I use as of right now, and YouTube, obviously. You can throw a comment down in the bottom, and just hit subscribe, and that's it, guys. Hope you're out there chasing it.